chat Cowboy Romance with everybody here. Before we get started, I just want to know who is like an avid Cowboy Romance reader, and this is like their top genre. Yes, yes. Who just read Cowboy Romance like for the first time or yeah? We see you. We see you. We appreciate you. Oh, I'm obsessed with you. And then, okay, so I've actually been reading Cowboy Romance for probably a better part of a decade, and I personally didn't understand country music till I read Cowboy Romances, and now I'm like, oh, I get it. The tractor is that important. But I will get to the part that you guys are probably all excited about, which is chatting with these amazing authors about the books. We just sat in a room together probably for the last 30 minutes, and I had to like be quiet because all I wanted to do was talk about it, and that's what this is. So I didn't want to spoil anything. But how are you guys doing today? How are you finding Toronto?
It's good. I don't.
She's selling it.
I don't like cities, so I'm like used to driving long distances, but not this like stopping.
You're not used to driving long distances like to get 5 kilometers away.
No, exactly.
7.
Yeah,
7.
7. No, I like cruise control with country music playing and just chilling.
And Hannah, this is your first time in Ontario. Did I see that on your social media?
Yes.
Yeah? And how are we liking it so far? On a scale of 1 to 10, maybe?
Like a 7.
A 7.
I mean, I've only seen like a couple blocks.
And it's got a 7. We're
yeah,
doing
it's really
well.
hot here, just like at home. Yeah.
I love that. All right. Without further ado, let's just get into some of the questions that I've literally been dying to ask you guys. So I have read your books. They are phenomenal, fantastic. And something that I noticed, or one thing that I think, and we can probably all agree, that makes a Cowboy Romance so special is actually the setting. So we as readers, there's an immediate sense of comfort when we are dropped into these places. So somewhere like Wells Ranch or Cherry Peak, they don't just serve as backdrops, but they end up becoming like characters in themselves for the story. So when you sit down to write, do you intentionally craft your settings to be like this, or does it just happen? And with that in mind, why do you think that a setting is so important for a cowboy romance or a small town romance?
So I am pretty intentional with Wells Canyon. I took all of my favorite parts of BC, where I was born and raised, and made that where I wanted the story to be set. So I'm moving forward. I'm like, now what do I do? Because I already used all my favorite spots, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. But I think a big part of why it's so important is because of the whole Western cowboy culture. Like, they live off of the land. And so it really needs to, it's not just like a city backdrop. It's part of it. It's their lifeblood. So it like needs to be a big part of the story.
Yeah, and I think like if you live in a city as well, you want to read about the best parts of a small town. Like, you don't, you know what I mean? And I also think like found family goes a lot in with setting up a small town. So I think all the characters that you put into it as well kind of work around and they fill that small town. Because, I mean, I grew up in Alberta, so I don't have pretty BC like Bailey has. So I kind of like, I don't know, I try to find the best parts and put them in from where I grew up.
That's what we all have to do, because you don't want the bad parts of the small town.
No, and
there's nothing
there's
good
many.
or romantic about
The
that.
fictional small towns are much better than a real small town. So
No, I think that when you're actually reading a small town romance, you don't only come back for these characters, which I guess we're all obsessed with. Every time I see like a side character says a line, I'm like, yes, their book will be amazing. Can't wait for that. But I think it's like a level of comfort. Like, people say comfort reads so often. And when you guys build these settings and when you build these worlds, do you keep that in mind, that you want this to be a comfortable spot, or does, again, that just happen organically?
I think it's a bit of both. I don't know. I know what I like to read, and yeah, I try to do both.
I like
It
that.
just kind of comes the more books you write as well. Like, especially if it's a series, every book you kind of learn more about the town.
Yeah.
So
So the more comfortable you get, the more comfortable we get as readers. That's very interesting. Perfect. So I really want to talk about your characters. So while reading your books, your characters, both of them, felt incredibly real to me, specifically the women's characters, because these are women that I feel like don't just exist on a page, but also could very easily exist in the real world, and they do exist in the real world. There's not just like the witty banter and charm that we love so much, but we really do have this raw and true look at the female experience. So these girls aren't glamorized. It feels very real. We have characters with PCOS that struggle with depression. And one of my favorite from Strung Along, when Anna like literally has an emotional breakdown of feelings of joy because she has just found friends that she's longed for so long. These are real people. So can you actually walk us through the process of creating or discovering these characters during your writing journey? Hannah, did you want to start?
Sure. I don't know. I just know, again, I'm a big reader as well, so I know the kind of characters I like to read, and I want to read characters like me. So I think a lot of my female characters especially come from some part of me and of my lived experiences. So yeah, I try to put that in pretty much every book that I write.
I found when I was reading Strung Along that Anna says something that actually hit home very much to me. She said, paraphrasing, but it was, she spent so much time toning herself down for somebody else. And I feel like as women, that is like such a common experience of having to like tone down yourself in space, tone down the stuff that you like. So to see this character go through the process of breaking that struggle or breaking that mental barrier was actually very relatable, and they felt so real to go through that process.
Yeah, I want that. Like, I want other people who have gone through something similar to have some sort of, I also went through that. Because I too, like, one of my biggest things with Cherry Peak was female friendships. Because like until I got to, in my 20s, I didn't have that. So I think that they kind of just wrote themselves, because I was like, I think I really want that.
You wrote all the friendships that you want to have.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Did you want to touch on how you go about your characters as well?
Yeah, so I'm kind of a pantser. So I don't really have a whole plan going in. And then I get to know the characters as I'm writing. And I really want them to feel like real people and people that I would want to be friends with. So I think in learning about them as I'm writing, like that's what makes them feel so real, is that I'm not just sitting there with like, there's some people, and if that works for them, great, to use a questionnaire or whatever it is to try and like learn who their characters are going to be beforehand. But that just like has never worked for me. So I just kind of write as I go. And like Hannah, there's a little bit of me in every single one of them.
Yeah. Do your characters, they like tell you who they are as you're writing the
Yes,
stories?
exactly. I'm just like, I don't know who you are outside of the very basics, like hair color, height, name. Sometimes
you
not
take
even
the
name.
rest.
Sometimes the
No.
name changes too. So yeah, they just tell me.
No, they like, reading both of your books, I was very impressed by how real they felt, because I feel like sometimes you're like, this girl, her in a mainstream media, it's like, this girl, her biggest characteristic is she loves soup. And she loves it. But I'm reading these characters and someone like Cassidy, who's struggling with like PCOS, and then she says, I will just like never be thin, and this is my life, but that's it. That's all she talks about, because that's not her personality trait. That is a part of who she is. And I loved how you were able to like weave that into the story to make this character feel real, but it did not define the character, which is super important.
I did that a lot. I was really like focused on that with Blair, especially because she has depression, and I was like, but that's not all that she is. That's just like a little tiny part.
I loved all of it. They felt extremely real. And actually that leads perfectly into our next question. Who knew? Like, I didn't write these myself. So something that I noticed and again loved about it is all of your characters, they're not perfect. They are flawed, they are scarred in some way, but they don't try to hide it, and they don't try to pretend to be perfect. So in our society, we often have this idea, you guys have probably all heard it before, it's this idea that you need to fix yourself before you find love. It's, I'm working on me, and I have to work on me before I work on somebody else. And your characters reject that. which is phenomenal. So they show that being imperfect doesn't make them undeserving of love. So I would love to hear your thought process on this, how it shapes your characters, and how you think it could relate to the real world.
Well, nobody's ever going to be perfect regardless. And I also just really, they stay that way because I also don't want a man to come along and fix them. Like we see so often in romance where she meets the guy and magically everything's just better. Like all of a sudden she doesn't have depression anymore magically because she had a magical penis and it fixed everything. Like, no, that's not true for anybody in real life. So yeah, and I want the characters to feel real. So that's part of it.
I liked how you did that with, to touch on your comment of magical penis. I like how you made it, specifically talking about Blair and Denver. There was this really intimate moment where she tells him that she has been taking antidepressants. And she almost expects a reaction from him, like for him to be like, what can I do to help? How can I like fix you? She like, you can see, like feel, I guess, almost the wheels turning. And his reaction is, okay. Like, that's good. That's good to know. Like, thank you for telling me. Let me, like, set an alarm to take your pill, which is so great to, again, have characters that aren't perfect, but then to have male main characters that aren't looking to fix that imperfection. They, like, complement each other super well. Was that on purpose?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Because he is perfect.
He's perfect.
He's allowed to be perfect.
Hannah, did you want to touch?
No, I think that's
We'll leave it
That's
at
pretty good, yeah.
magical penis and drop
Yeah.
it there. So, all right. So there is nothing better for us than romance readers. We can all agree, and I'm just going to take your nods. We can all agree that there is nothing better than a dual point of view book. Especially that yes, you going, she's like, especially when we get to the male main character's point of view and we find out he's been obsessed with her the whole time. Actually, nothing better. And obviously we can't have every chapter be through every single perspective, even though we all want that. So how do you decide what scenes we get to see through what character's eyes?
Okay, but imagine if we did every single scene through both.
Oh my god.
That would be...
Yeah, that's crazy. I definitely wouldn't read that. Eat
all
it
of a
up.
sudden it's 1,000
Yum.
pages. Sometimes it's just like, it just happens naturally. Like some scenes just feel right to be from like one character's perspective or the other. And then sometimes if like there's something that I don't want the readers to like know, or I want the readers to discover from like the eyes of the character, then I'll pick them. But yeah, and I really like writing sex scenes from his point of view.
Oh, me
That
too.
was
So
my
sometimes
next
I have to like
Yeah.
force myself. I'm like, oh yeah, we should have some from hers.
Yeah.
But
I guess.
I'm like, who cares? I want to watch him. Like I want, because his mind is always like,
You know, we
he's
simps.
obsessed with her.
Yeah,
Yes, and I want that. So that's why I like writing his.
I actually feel like that is so great to know, because I do feel that romance sometimes gets a bad rap of like, that is all sex and it's all smut and it's all this. But it's not. It's like, that's what actually, like, it's intimacy.
Yeah.
And like, the people who are saying that it's all smut obviously don't understand the difference between intimacy and like physical sex. So it is really interesting that you choose to write it through the male's point of view to like, again, have that extra insight. Hannah, did you want to touch as well?
No, yeah, and most of the
Ditto.
time I'm a pantser like Bailey is, so I'm just kind of like, oh, 1 1 1 1. It's not really that fun of a breakdown.
That's not fun.
No, it's not.
Was there ever a time that either of you had to go back because you're like, no, this has to be told from this person's point of view? Or like, I think this would be more impactful.
Yeah, or most of the time I'll like, if I have a chapter like that, I'll cut it in between. So like you get both their point of views during a moment.
You do that a lot with I like her books a lot. Especially with I've noticed it with your sex scenes. Like it'll be like split in the middle, so we get to see a little bit of both. Yeah. Perfect. So I'm a big believer that big love is built from little actions. What I mean by that, and like, don't get me wrong, we all love grand gestures. like buying your girlfriend a hair salon, or hacking up your family's lilac bushes. Those are amazing grand gestures. But what really, and like, again, nod at me if you agree, what really gets me kicking my feet and giggling is those like little small moments, those like thoughtful everyday acts of care. So I just want to know, do you plan these intimate moments of like what feels right to the character? Or again, is it like a prancing thing and it happens naturally?
I think once you get a certain point into a book, I think it starts happening naturally. Because grand gestures, yeah, are great, but like Anna could have got a fluffy cow from any guy on the street. Like, no, like, you know, but it means more. Like, it's true. Right, but it's the little things.
I'm gonna come there and get a fluffy
I was
cow from
just
some
gonna
guy on the
say
street.
Okay, there's no dealer. I'm just saying.
Is it like a free, you
Like,
know,
this
like
sounds
free
great.
kittens? It's like free fluffy cow in a
yes.
box.
Side of the road.
Sign me up.
No, but like, you know what I'm saying? You have to have the little things.
Yeah, you have to have the little things to make the grand gesture. mean more.
Yes. What
And-
about you?
For the most part, they kind of just happen, like as I am writing. Even sometimes, like the more grand gestures, like the lilac bushes, just kind of happened, and I didn't expect them to become like this big thing. And I didn't expect the potatoes and seeing red. And really, that's just like small gestures too that kind of took on a life of its own. But yeah, like the lilac bushes literally only happened because I knew that it was springtime, and I was like, there's very little things that would be blooming in the mountains when she got there, but the lilac bushes would be, that have like a strong enough scent that it would like trigger her. And then, and then as I was writing, I'm like, he needs to cut these down, and that was it. So, yeah, it just happens.
Do you ever write your favorite, like, little moments? So, like, yeah. all
That's
the time.
why pretty much all of them provide food to her at some point.
I love that. Yeah. Obsessed. So, obviously, Hannah, you actually kind of touched on this already, because obviously we all love a good romance. But what I really appreciated about both your books and both your writing, again, is that there is so much importance placed on the female friendship, which is phenomenal. So whether it's Cassidy and Blair, we have Cecily and Beryl, Bryce, Poppy, and Anna, it's that there's always what I like to call like a secondary romance happening in the background. And that, again, is rooted in female friendship. So why is it important for you to include these relationships, and how do they shape your overall story?
Adult friendships are hard. Really hard. So I don't know. They are almost my friends now too. So they kind of, I don't know, they kind of make the whole series for me.
Does anybody here agree that when you read a book specifically by two of our amazing authors on the stage, that you also feel like you formed a friendship with the characters? Yeah. Very special. Did you want to?
Yeah. I mean, also, we were talking before this that we don't particularly like men.
No, I hate men.
Okay, wait, I wasn't going to
So,
say
like,
that, but...
the least amount that we need to have other men on the page is like better.
Yeah, one is enough.
Yeah.
One's enough?
Yeah, just the one.
Just process that.
One is enough. That's why Bryce hates men so much. I hate men.
And Cassidy too. Yeah, it's
it
great.
comes
We
from
both-
the soul.
Easiest FMCs to write. The ones that hate men.
Ones that hate men. Yeah, but I do think that you guys do that very, very well. And yes, making friends in your adult life is extremely difficult. And I love that Cassidy and Blair have been friends forever. But a lot of these are like found family, like brand new friends, very girl. And what I like, again, it is so hard to put yourself out there as an actual person to find these friendships. So it is very comforting to, I guess, watch characters go through the same struggles. So one of the most powerful things about storytelling and writing and reading is the ability to say so much without actually saying anything at all. So there were so many moments that both of you did this so beautifully throughout your books, but the two that really did stuck with me was Cecily's aversion to the smell of lilac, and when Brody finally started riding a horse again. In these moments, we weren't explained to as the reader, like really what was going on every single time, but we felt it. We knew what was going on. We knew what these characters were feeling. So how do you as authors decide what you want to or when to show and not tell? And when do these moments, or when do you want to put in these moments that are rooted more in like a sensory or emotional moment as opposed to dialogue? It's a loaded question.
I mean, they always just tell you in general to show, not tell. So I try not to tell as often as I can. Sometimes I do, but it goes back again to just pantsing and learning the characters as you're writing, and then these things just kind of like happen because she feels like Cecily felt like a real person to me as I was writing it, and I really like tried to just be in her head as much as possible. And yeah, and like those are the sort of things that would trigger you because scents or sounds or whatever it is are like big things that'll just remind you of whatever. And sometimes it can be good and sometimes it's bad, like in her case. But yeah, it just kind of happens as I'm writing, which is a boring answer, but
Yeah, I know. I don't really have a good answer. I don't know. I think some moments you have to see, like when it came to Brody riding the horse again. I mean, when the reader first starts the story, you expect him to do that at the end. Like you kind of have a feeling you're like, I really want to see that at the end. So, I mean, those things I'm like, oh, they want to see that, so I should actually not just say, oh, he actually rode a horse the other day. You know, you actually see it happen.
All right.
yeah, it would be you would have a lot of really angry people
Yeah.
if you were just like, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
in the epilogue, all
She
of a sudden
doesn't
you're like,
actually
yeah, at some
care.
point,
He
at
rode a
some point,
horse.
it was fine.
I've been riding a horse for 10 years now. You're like,
Oh.
perfect. Well, on the topic of writing, do you guys have any weird, like, writing superstitions or quirks that you do? Any, like, processes? Like, do you need it to be completely silent, loud?
I listen to music. That's how I write.
What do you listen to?
I only listen to the playlist for the book that I'm writing.
Ooh, wait, and
Yeah.
do you make that before you start writing?
No, like I start it and then I'll be like in the car listening to music and I'm like, oh, this is like exactly them. So then I add that and then more come and then
So it starts off with the
That's-
same song over
yes,
and over.
yeah, until you can't stand it anymore. Yeah, that one gets skipped all the time.
Yeah. Next, track one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will listen to music, but it's usually like just really soft, sad music. It's always sad music.
Instrumentals.
You're writing these like happy scenes.
Yeah, I literally have a playlist that is called Depressed Cowboy Shit. It's not my playlist that I made, I just found it.
I was
but
gonna say, and will you
it's
share the
great.
link with?
Yeah, it's a great
group,
playlist.
yeah.
It's a lot of sad cowboy music, so it's great. Really gets me in the mood to write.
Do you have like a sex playlist like for when you're writing spicy
No,
scenes? I do.
It's just sad all the time.
oh.
Okay. So sorry. But yeah, I have a daughter who's home all the time, so I kind of just have to write whenever I have free time. So I don't can't necessarily set the mood and get it all ready, but to sit down. Like some authors I know, they're like, they have to light a candle and get the room the right lighting and do all of those things, and I just can't because I'm writing on my phone half the time and
I was
Not
also
the phone.
I'm sorry. Hey, Alive and Wells and Seeing Red would not exist because
you wrote that all on your phone?
just about because my computer was a piece of junk at that point. So I replaced it. But yeah, the first couple books were almost entirely on my phone.
That is incredible. And how many collectively, if you had to estimate, how many notes apps open do you have of ideas or stories or anything that you just
So many.
randomly write
just
down?
random lines or
Do you
and
ever
then I
go back
and look at it and I'm like, what did that mean? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that one day.
No.
No, thank you.
Yes.
Publish the whole thing. So I guess the next part, let's talk about book talk for a hot second, or the internet. So we are living in a very digital age right now, and with the rise of book talk, I feel like for the first time, readers actually have the real power over the narrative in terms of what is popular. So instead of publishers basically coming out and saying, hey, this is your popular book, this is what you like, this is what you're gonna read, we've actually been able to do a little bit of a role reversal, and now we are telling the publishers what we want, we are telling them what we think is popular, and we are able to, again, give the spotlight to smaller authors, self-published authors, and really give, oh, it's so cute. Gesundheit. That was the cutest sneeze I've ever heard. Anyways, I'll get back to what I'm doing. And basically, it's just been a really easy way for authors to be found and talked about. And it's also a great way for fans of the book to connect directly with the authors. You are both, if you don't know this, very loved on the internet. I have seen countless videos of both of your books. My favorite thing ever is to, when I finish a book, I go to TikTok and I write Alive and Well's aesthetic. And then I go through Strung Along aesthetic. And then I go, I'm like, who's the fan cast? Who's the... If you haven't done that, I would recommend. So I want to know, how do you guys feel about the book talk community in general? Are you in it?
I feel like I'm more on Bookstagram than Book Talk.
Yeah.
Book Talk scares the hell out of
It
me,
is
to
scary.
be honest.
That's fair.
Because people just seem generally nicer on Bookstagram. Whereas on Book Talk, they're 2 stars. This book was the worst thing I've ever read. Yeah, tag me.
I was just going to say tag the author.
You
Read
need
the
to
room.
see this. And the one time, fairly recently, somebody was going off about Cecily's mental health, and then they tagged me, and I was like, you care more about the fictional character's mental health than mine? Why'd you tag me? And they just deleted my comment and just kept going. I was like, okay.
All right, we can talk about Bookstagram.
Yeah.
Let's
So I have,
go back. How do you
It
feel
scares
about
me.
Bookstagram?
Love it.
Love it.
Perfect. Have you noticed anything from Dealer's Choice, Bookstagram, Book Talk?
To be fair, Book Talk did change my life, so I will give props there.
Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, 2 years ago, I think, about then. That's what led to, everything, pretty much. Because Lucky Hit, one of my, I think, my first book, really went off on there. And then my other second generation did, and then, So I will give props because it did kind of shoot me through the book world. But I've met a lot more friends on Bookstagram. Bookstagram's where I meet all my reader friends and other author friends.
Do you guys connect with fans through Bookstagram and through the nice ones,
And mean ones sometimes.
and the mean ones? You're just lying in bed at night. Your partner's like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "And the character was actually thinking this." What are you?
I wish.
Do you respond
we
to
would
mean
get canceled
comments?
if we could.
No.
Yeah, if we did that. No.
Did you at any point? Because I feel like when you're first on the internet, you're
Yeah.
you want to defend everything.
No, I've pretty quickly learned to just.
You do, and then you learn never again. Yeah, but you do.
Perfect. And have you seen any personal impact from Bookstagram on your book's career?
Oh yeah, I would not be here, physically here, if it wasn't for that, because I didn't tell anybody in my personal life that I was even writing a book. So literally nobody would have read it if I hadn't found ARC readers on Bookstagram, and yeah, and then they're the ones who really amplified it and blew it up because I wasn't telling anybody about it. So. That's great.
The secret of writing.
Literally.
I guess, yeah. What inspired you guys to write in the cowboy romance space?
Because I live in rural BC, and it's my what I'm surrounded with. So I was like, this is what I know about, so I may as well write it. So yeah,
And you did an amazing job.
thank you.
Well, Strung Along was supposed to be standalone. I was never planning on writing a Cherry Peak series. But I went to a country concert. So I was like, I need to write a country star. So Brody was born. And then the rest of it was born after that.
So you went to a country concert, saw a country star, wanted to write a book. I love that. This isn't written down, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What is the weirdest place you guys have had an idea for a story that has become a book? Like what? The inspiration.
Okay, well, as much as I hate book talk, TikTok, because I see them. That's where Red's hand tattoo came from, was I saw some guy that had barbed wire tattooed on his hand, and I was like, save.
Screenshot.
That's all when I started writing Alive and Wells, that was the only thing I knew about Red, was that I was like, he's going to have red hair, and he's going to have a barbed wire hand tattoo, and that's all we need to know about him at this point. I didn't even know what his actual name was until I started writing Seeing Red, and then I was like, oh, he needs to have like a real name.
Halfway through the book, you're like,
But I know he has that hand tattoo, so.
I don't know. I get most of my ideas in the car when I'm driving. Or, like, I get a lot of mine come from when I go see concerts. I don't know why, but every time I'm like, oh, I need to write this guy, and then I need to write this guy. That's why I wrote one of my other characters who was also a rock star. A little different than a country star, but that's where he came from there as well.
perfect. And if you're ever looking to write a book about a moderator or a host, for example, I don't know. Anyways, so this wouldn't be a cowboy romance panel if we didn't bring up some of our favorite tropes. Specifically, my favorite, wear the hat, ride the cowboy. And tropes play a huge part in the romance genre in general. So I want to know, like, do you have any favorite tropes, and do you purposely make sure they're in every single book? I know you do.
He falls first is in every single one of my books.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I have a lot of I love all the tropes, but I try not to just do the exact same ones. Like I love forced proximity so much. But yeah, I feel like it's more the micro tropes, the
Like
little
what?
the little things. Like he cooks for her.
He washes her hair.
Yeah, yes.
Ooh, coffee, making her coffee.
Yes,
She's
yeah.
like, when did you know how I make my coffee? I've been watching
Yeah.
you every morning, darling. Anyways.